Welcome to World Talk Brief. Right now, in Western Mexico, thousands of soldiers are being deployed. Now, this isn't some training exercise. It's a massive military operation designed to get a lid on a sudden, violent explosion of chaos.
And we're not talking about a small number here. We're talking about 9,500 soldiers sent in to reinforce security. It's an urgent response to a wave of violence that's basically turning cities' streets into war zones. But here's the thing that's hard to wrap your head around. This huge national security crisis, this deployment of almost 10,000 troops, it wasn't triggered by an invasion or a natural disaster. It was all sparked by the death of just one person, a notorious drug lord.
So that brings us to the core question of this explainer. Who exactly was this man? And how on earth did he build an empire so powerful that his death alone could threaten to push parts of an entire country into open warfare? To really understand the chaos, we have to first understand the man who is sitting right at the center of it all. His name was Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, but pretty much everyone knew him by his nickname, El Mencho. He was the co-founder and really the undisputed leader of one of Mexico's most powerful and, frankly, most terrifying criminal organizations, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or the CJNG for short. His criminal career goes way back. He was actually a former police officer, can you believe that? But he was involved in drug trafficking way back in the 90s. He even got convicted in a U.S. court back in 1994 for distributing heroin. After getting sent back to Mexico, he didn't just get back in the game. He started building an empire from the ground up, co-founding the CJNG around 2009. Now, to get a sense of El Mencho's style, it kinda helps to compare him to a name you've almost certainly heard, El Chapo Guzman. See, while El Chapo was famous for courting fame, meeting with Hollywood actors, El Mencho was the complete opposite. He was like a ghost. He operated from the shadows, and there are very, very few photos of him out there. His power was built on pure fear, not on being a celebrity. But just because he preferred the shadows didn't mean his organization was invisible. Oh no, quite the opposite. His cartel, the CJNG, became infamous for its incredibly brutal and very public shows of force. You see, the CJNG operated less like a traditional cartel and more like a private army. Their signature move was what experts call ultra-violence, using extreme brutality on purpose to terrorize their rivals and to intimidate the government. They built up a military-grade arsenal, they started using explosive drones, and they carried out these incredibly bold assassinations of high-level officials. And if you want a perfect example of their audacity, look no further than 2015. During an operation to try and capture El Mencho, his crew shot down a Mexican military helicopter with a rocket-propelled grenade. I mean, that's not just a crime. That's a direct challenge to the power of the entire state. A security specialist named Eduardo Guerrero really put the threat into perspective. He said that a small team of just 50 CJNG operatives, with all their money and heavy weapons, could easily overwhelm and defeat any local police force. In a lot of places, they basically were the law. Now, that level of power and violence, well, it did not go unnoticed. El Mencho and the CJNG very quickly became a top priority for law enforcement around the world, especially in the United States. And when you look at the map, the sheer scale of his operation is just staggering. This was not just a problem for Mexico. The CJNG's network reportedly spread across 36 countries. They had a presence in 21 of Mexico's 32 states, and, get this, in all 50 U.S. states. The U.S. government saw him as one of the most dangerous criminals on the entire planet. The State Department put up a $15 million reward for his capture. That's one of the highest bounties ever offered for a drug trafficker. So why the massive price on his head? Simple. It was business. El Mencho's CJNG had become a primary pipeline, flooding the United States with meth, cocaine, heroin, and, most devastatingly, the incredibly deadly synthetic opioid, fentanyl. The U.S. government used its biggest financial and legal weapons against him. The Treasury Department labeled him a kingpin, which is a designation that lets them freeze the assets of major global drug traffickers. On top of that, federal courts indicted him for directing a continuing criminal enterprise. That's a charge they say for the absolute top leaders of the biggest criminal organizations. Which brings us full circle, right back to the chaos that kicked all of this off. After years of being the most wanted man, El Mencho was finally cornered and killed. But that just begs the question, Why does the death of one guy trigger more chaos, not less? Well, it's a real double-edged sword. On one hand, this is a huge win for law enforcement. A top international target is gone, and that's a major blow to the CJNG's leadership. But on the other hand, the challenge is immediate and it is massive. His death sparked an instant wave of violence, it's created a dangerous power vacuum, and the organization he built is still a very real national security threat. So you see, El Mencho's death really isn't the end of the story. It's just the start of a new, very bloody chapter. It's a test for the brutal global empire he created. All this violence we're seeing across Mexico, that's the CJNG sending a very clear message. The cartel can and will survive without its king. And that leaves us all with one final, pretty unsettling question. With the Shadow King now gone, who is going to fight to claim his violent throne? The answer to that question is going to shape the future of Mexico's security for years to come. Subscribe to World Talk Brief for more clear, thoughtful explanations. World Talk Brief, news explained without the noise.